I guess that I think those are all valid points, right? And I think that that's normal healing in relationship. So, and when you are dealing with people that are logical individuals, and they can see, like, you know, where the disconnect was, and it's okay. So now I understand your intentions. Thank you for apologizing with intent, and not just saying I'm sorry to say I'm sorry. You know, a normal person's response to that apology would be like, hey, I hear you. Thank you so much. Let's take action on this, and not let this happen again. And
Good.
water under the bridge. Thank you for letting me know your intentions. But yet, every time some little variable happens, it gets pulled back to that. You know, and what we like to say is drag through the mud. You know, so the other person says, but remember when you lied to me? I'm still not over that. You know, and it's just kind of like,
So let me give a little theory, just a little tiny bit, so I don't bore you and your listeners. But having a theory about what's happening is always important in terms of intervention. So my theory then becomes, yes, if the apology is completely appropriate, you're making amends, you're validating her emotions, and you're being patient. Because if it's an affair, let's say, just for an example, that stuff takes time to get over. And if you're still within a reasonable time frame where, of course, she's still going to be upset and she's going to need to talk about it. But typically, just so you know, when one talks about something that's hurt them, if in fact they really do feel validated, almost immediately, that helps move them to a more regulated state of mind. So it's not just complaining over and over and over what you did to hurt them. So right. The first thing is I want to hear is, are you helping this person move to a more regulated state of mind? Now, let's say you are, for argument's sake, and they continue to perseverate on this, right?
Right.
So now the question is, what's going on here? What are you doing? So the underlying theory is what we call object representation. So in other words, she has a specific representation of you in mind that she needs to be true. So her representation of you is of the malignant type, or the type who betrays, the type that she can't trust, the type, etc. Oh, and just a really quick digression. Not that this is very important, but this is more of what we call the covert narcissist. You see, the vulnerable narcissist is more of that needy, clingy type, and they're not typically this aggressive. You know, they may have these thoughts, but they don't act them out or go after you in this way because they're so dependent on you and getting that attention, you know, the mode of repair, what they need, right? That's the supplies, the word you mentioned earlier. So this is more like the covert type. And in the covert type, what you're describing is someone who's holding on to resentment. And then that then becomes the work, Phil. That's what we need to start to work on, is how important it is and the reason why they need to hold on to this representation of you as this type of person and all of what that means to them and how they are now getting revenge, because that's what you're describing. This isn't a productive conversation. This is an act of revenge, right? That they're trying to make you suffer. So that then becomes what we call grist for the mill. In other words, that's where we want to work, if that makes sense. I don't know what sort of resonates with you when I say it that way. Does that make a little sense?
Everything is resonating with me.